Electoral Act Amendment Bill scares second reading at House of Representatives.
"20 countries, including Nigeria, recommit to 2030 global target of ending female genital mutilation."
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall examine Democracy Day and the presidential broadcast.
Well, Claire, congratulations.
Congratulations, Demola.
It's a very special day.
Indeed, absolutely.
Well, it's a special day today, and I'm really excited about our topic, regardless of the opinions of many people. Claire.
Yes, absolutely, Demola. And of course, today is June 12th, and it's Nigeria's Democracy Day. For many Nigerians like us, today is a very, very big deal, and there's so much history and emotion tied to this very special day.
Absolutely, Claire. I don't know how old you were.
All right. Yes. I can tell you if you want to know, but go ahead.
Okay, all right, don't worry. Well, then, but let me take you a bit down memory lane. You know what June 12 is all about. 1993 was such a pivotal moment. The presidential election has been largely regarded as the fairest and freest we have ever had, and it gave people a lot of hope.
A lot of hope indeed. A lot of hope, I should emphasize. And of course, the unexpected happened. The military regime under General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, fondly called IBB, annulled it. It was such a very big blow, leading to a series of protests on the streets of Lagos and many other parts of the country, and of course a lot of unrest. Many Nigerians were really, really upset, and as it appears, rightfully so too.
You're right. Let's fast forward to 2018, and we get this big change after a series of agitations from pro-democracy advocates. The government of former President Buhari bowed to pressures and officially moved Democracy Day from May 29 to June 12. It was quite a landmark statement.
Absolutely it was. And many people believed that it was a way to honor all those who fought for democracy. So today is not just another holiday. It's a day to remember the struggles and the progress we've made as a people and as a country. And fundamentally, it's also about recognizing that there's still work to be done. Building a strong, varied democracy isn't really easy, as we heard from the broadcast, and it requires everyone's participation, but civic engagement is very critical.
Yeah, it is very key. It's very critical. Just to add that this is the second Democracy Day to be commemorated under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and indeed his first presidential broadcast since he assumed office, and it could have perhaps passed as very symbolic for many Nigerians, especially at this point in time.
Again, Demola, you are absolutely right. Many Nigerians are very passionate about today, June 12, and that's because of the connotations that it bears. First, as the freest, fairest, but most peaceful election since we attained independence in 1960. And that has been 25 years of enduring and unbroken democratic trajectory since 1999. But even more than ever before, Nigerians are resolved to sustain a foundation of unbroken democracy that can guarantee them full participation in the electoral process, good governance, and of course, rapid socio-economic development.
And since the return of democracy in 1999, we have gone through 7 successive election cycles with significant positive progress in some sectors. But of course, the horizon for improvement remains very wide. How can we nurture and sustain this unbroken democratic trajectory? How can we close ethnic and tribal ranks and build a strong and viral democratic nation that we can indeed call our own dear native land, where no man is oppressed? I am Ademola Adeoye. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
And how can we also, as a people, ensure that though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand? And as you may have heard from the broadcast of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu a few minutes ago, he says his government is on a mission to build a strong and viral economic and political superstructures and restore sustainable peace and progress for the country. Now, democracy works best when people are involved and protect their rights and freedom. So today's edition of Good Morning Nigeria, it's all about looking back and thinking about the future, which I take a deeper look into the significance of today, Democracy Day, history and what it means moving forward. This is the crux of our conversation. I join Demola to welcome you once again to the program.
Yeah, thank you, Claire.
Yeah.
All right. So we are live on the network service of the NTA. We'll join our colleague Dennis Adeguloye for highlights of the morning news presently, and much later the newspaper review. So let's get started with the news highlight. And here is Dennis Adeguloye. Dennis,
where was he?
Where? Okay. How old were you then?
I was still very much around, and happy Democracy Day at Demola. Good morning, and good morning, Claire. Happy Democracy Day to you. And good morning, Nigeria. Happy Democracy Day. Here are the morning news highlights. President Bola Tinubu says no matter how complicated democracy may be, it is the best form of governance in the long run. He stated this in a nationwide broadcast to mark 2024 Democracy Day. President Tinubu said he is morally and constitutionally bound to preserve democracy, being one of those who took the risk to midwife its birth. The president said Nigeria's economy has been in desperate need of reforms for decades.
As we continue to reform the economy, I shall always listen to the people and will never turn my back on you. In this spirit, we have negotiated in good faith and with open arms with organized labor on a new national minimum wage. We shall soon send our executive bill to the National Assembly to enshrine what has been agreed upon as part of our law for the next 5 years or less.
President Tinubu congratulates Nigerians for witnessing another Democracy Day and called on citizens to commit to the realization of economic democracy. Our democratic experience, despite the highs and lows, has been enduring, and we must engage the young and competent in a succession plan to ensure a glorious future. These were the words of Vice President Kashim Shettima at a public lecture in Abuja commemorating Nigeria's silver jubilee of uninterrupted democratic governance.
We must also look to the future with a clear and determined vision. Today is not just a day of remembrance, it is a call to action. We must engage the young and competent, the patriotic and innovative, to join us in crafting a succession plan that secures the future we desire.
The House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill seeking to amend the Electoral Act to criminalize the failure of a presiding officer to deduct excess votes in a polling unit during an election. The bill, sponsored by Representative Hassan Fulnata of Jigawa State, was referred to the House Committee on Electoral Matters for further legislative action.
Officer shall be prosecuted in accordance with the provisions of Section 145 of this Act, and if found guilty, shall be sentenced to a period of 6 months imprisonment or a fine of 2 million, or both.
If this bill is supported by all of us,
Meanwhile, the Senate has approved the 2024 budget for the Niger Delta Development Commission, totaling 1.911 trillion naira. This statutory budget was passed during plenary, and the significant allocation of funds aims to support the development and growth of the Niger Delta region. It marks a crucial step towards addressing the region's infrastructure, economic and social needs. Other important considerations were also discussed during plenary, further demonstrating the Senate's commitment to the region's progress and prosperity.
Focus, channeling the money to projects that are really meaningful and dedicated to the development of the area.
Nigeria has a major role to play in delivering the global promise to end female genital mutilation by 2030. To this end, strategic efforts must be intensified, starting with proper enforcement of the Child's Rights Act of 2003 in the country. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, stated this at the opening ceremony of the annual technical consultation on ending female genital mutilation, jointly organized by United Nations Population Fund and UNICEF in Nigeria.
This collaboration will help mobilize resources, share best practices, and create a sustainable movement against gender-based violence and female genital mutilation.
Well, that's the news highlights for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues after this break with Ademola and Claire. Good morning.
In the heat of the summer, walking on the road feels like walking on hot coals.
How do I cope with this heat?
And how do I cope with that bad odor?
By staying 5 degrees cooler.
Body odor is caused by germs, and on hot days, the sweating and the odor are more. That's why you need to get the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which offers up to 5 degrees instant cooling sensation and protects you from 99.9% odor-causing germs.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
As the month of Dhul Hajj approaches, this is a special time to remember Allah and spend extra time in good deeds. This is a unique opportunity to sincerely repent, get closer to Allah, and combine acts of worship in a way that is impossible at any other time of the year. Furthermore, giving charity attracts great reward, especially in these first 10 days of Dhul Hajj. The world is facing global economic crisis with millions on brink of starvation. You can make a huge difference by supporting and sponsoring this year's Hadaya sacrificial animal to needy communities in our country. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "For every hair of the Hadaya, you receive a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." Free Hafiz scholarship programs for youth is one of our development projects. With your support, we can build conviction in the heads of Muslims individuals and reunite as community to benefit humanity. For donations to actualize these novel initiatives, Non-Violent Peace Initiative account number 1771660076, Bank Polaris Bank, or Guaranteed Trust Bank account number 0457070109. Management Announcer.
Something new is about to hit your imagination of TV. A brand new sundial with StarTime's inbuilt technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTime's antenna and satellite signal. StarTime Sundial TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTime's highest bouquet for free, automatic system update. More benefits, more affordable. StarTimes Sundial TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion. My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and that God has kept together as one indivisible entity.
Thanks for staying with us. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, and up next is Newspaper Review.
Right, welcome back, and time to welcome Chukwudi Okolo-Gbaja. Chukwudi, happy Democracy Day to you.
I heard when Demola was saying that you were beaming from ear to ear, and I said, I hope Claire is not claiming to have been born on June 12th. Because of late I've started saying that everything is clear about Claire.
No, I couldn't have been born. I couldn't have been born on June 12th.
Good morning, Claire. How
ridiculous for you to say I was to even contemplate that I was born on June 12th.
Congratulations to Nigerians.
Indeed.
Free choice is man's greatest asset. I don't know which of the French philosophers, between Voltaire and Jean-Jacques Rousseau, man is born free. But wherever you look, you find him in chains. Democracy breaks those chains to a very large extent. Demola, good morning.
We have very limited time, and we'll just quickly rush through
the papers.
Yes, the papers, and then do a breezy review. Well, let's start with leadership. Leadership: federal government to subsidize CNG vehicle conversion kits by 50%. It's there on the front page. June 12th, opposition's failure to unite, threat to democracy. That's coming from Atiku. And 25 years of democracy, that's the lead story. Tinubu, Jonathan, others ignite hope for better Nigeria. It's on page 4. It comes with riders. Let's recommit to good governance. President Jonathan seeks reforms to end do-or-die politics, and Masari warns of waning trust in government. And there are other stories there. Let me also talk about the ones trending on the right-hand column. That's to your left. Nigeria's food import bill rises to 5-year high. Afenifere wants 774 LGAs expunged from Constitution. And reps push for return of statutory delegates. And just above the masthead, gun case, Hunter Biden found guilty on all counts. That's on the foreign scene. Now, foreign minister reports PAMSEC over sexual harassment. Now, that's another story. Demola.
Okay, I have the Nigerian Pilot newspaper with me. And below the nameplate, we have Adilabu says tariff hike reduced electricity subsidy from 3 trillion to 1 trillion naira. The details of that is on page 7. EFCC received 14,000 petitions in 1 year, says Olu Koyede. Details of that story is on page 4. And this sport corner, we have World Cup qualifiers. Sport Minister queries NFF over Eagles' poor performance. And the headline there is "Flush them out." Tinubu orders military as terrorists killed 22 persons. 4 police officers in Katsina. Assures that more will be done to secure citizens. Completely degrade bandits. Will overcome forces of darkness. Katsina government rather declares, and says his government remains committed to wiping out all forms of criminality in the state. Then Emefiele printed new Naira notes without Buhari's approval. Witness the details of that story. It's on page 5. Tinubu inherited 2,600 road projects worth 15 trillion, says Umai. Details on 22. Afenifere differs with federal government on local government autonomy. Anambra correspondent chapel of NUJ to boycott Soludo's activities. Southwest governors to embark on massive food production. Details page 4. And democracy built on ethnicity, religion will continue to wobble. That was former President Jonathan. Details on page 7. Chooks.
Afenifere, you said there is
difference on federal government opinion on local government autonomy.
And the Kwara State Governor Abdul Rahman Abdul Razak is saying he believes the state should not violate the law regarding autonomy. Everyone has their bit. He says the local governments should be held completely accountable in terms of first-line duties, such as payment of salaries, and it does not run a joint account with any local government. So people are free to say their opinion about this. At the end of the day, let's work out that system that would work better for us. But quickly, the president mentioned the reforms in his speech, in his broadcast, says, sorry about the pains, eventually is going to lead to more space for fair competition for all, besides the fact that there will be better economic opportunities. But going to the essence of June 12, he mentioned the sacrifice by Moshood Abiola, his wife Kudirat, Alfred Rwani, and others who, I mean, it was quite heartwarming to mention those people who have sacrificed to get this project of democracy going in our country. It's our job to keep it going.
Yes, let's also quickly look at other story, and this is I don't know, there are 2 stories. We could just briefly talk about it in less than 2 minutes. Nigeria's food import bill rises to 5-year high, and we hear this is being pushed by agricultural products, and all of that. It's coming from Bureau of Statistics.
Yes.
So it's quite an issue to look into. And then there's this one about sexual harassment. Demola, this is worrying. Foreign minister reporting PAMSEC over sexual harassment.
Well, it's just reporting. It's not been proved that the man did it, so we might not be very robust in terms of discussing it. But the fact that at that echelon, such a thing can be mooted at all is disturbing.
It's disturbing. And I just quickly read out a letter from the foreign,
yeah, there's a petition.
Yes, we received a petition, right?
Yes, it's a petition. Yes, and it said the foreign minister wrote a letter to complain to the complaint was contained in a letter made available to you to the official complaint regarding sexual harassment of Mrs. Emisola Fajemirokun Ajayi by Ambassador. He said, I'm compelled to write to inform you of a formal complaint against the permanent secretary on sexual harassment allegations. Bearing in mind the gravity of the matter, I feel it necessary to draw your attention to it and ask that you handle it accordingly. And we know that, again, this has its own, legal implications if proven, if the accused is proven.
Yeah, kudos to Africa that is being mentioned at all, because so many things are taken for granted on the continent. The woman doesn't matter, but please, we are not judging the man who they're writing against at this stage. We are saying that the continent is now waking up to certain things. Women have rights, and noble men would respect the rights of a woman.
All right, thank you very much, Chooks. That's how far we can go on newspaper review today because of our time.
That's okay.
All right. Thank you. So we'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
A good farmer is a craftsman of the highest order. It is said, great farmer, great nation. No farmer, no nation. Yes, let's set the ball rolling to build that great Nigeria where good food is in abundance, affordable and easily accessible. The Renewed Hope Initiative, RHI, an initiative of the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON, is aligning with the vision and aspiration of the administration of President Bola Tinubu, GCFR, and is organizing the Every Home a Garden competition. The competition is under the scope of agriculture of the Renewed Hope Initiative. For the competition, women are encouraged to immediately plant a garden at home, such that the harvest can provide adequate food on their table and enough to give their neighbor. This competition is open to only women. She must be a first-time farmer. The garden must be in her home, and it is open to women in every state of the Federation and the FCT. Interested participants should do a 30 seconds video and a picture of the garden which indicates its location to the office of the First Ladies of their various states. The winner of this competition will be announced in December 2024, and the winner of the competition goes home with 20 million naira. Women, join the train. Be part of the food revolution in Nigeria. What are you waiting for? Let's get to work. This message is by the Renewed Hope Initiative, RHI, an initiative of the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON.
In the heat of the summer, walking on the road feels like walking on hot coals. How do I cope with this heat?
And how do I cope with that bad odor?
By staying 5 degrees cooler.
Body odor is caused by germs, and on hot days, the sweating and the odor are more. That's why you need to get the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which offers up to 5 degrees instant cooling sensation and protects you from 99.9% odor-causing germs.
The lights are on and the stage is set for dreams to take flight. Who will be the next idol? Watch Nigerian Idol live performances every Sunday at 7 p.m. and you get to decide by voting for your favorite contestant. You can vote via website, mobile site, or by using the My DSTV or My GoTV app with no stress. To vote via website or mobile site, simply visit africamagic.tv/Nigerian Idol. Click on vote, register, and then enter your details and a password of your choice. It's easy and it's free. You can also get AWOOF votes for your favorite Nigerian Idol contestants. All you have to do is download the My DSTV or My GoTV app and you have more voting power at your fingertips. Visit the website for more information. Voting opens on Sundays after the live shows and closes every Thursday at 8 p.m. Remember, vote for your favorites each week and you get to decide this year's Nigerian Idol.
Nigerian Idol Season 9 is proudly sponsored by Techno, Stop at Nothing, and Biggie for every moment.
Are you married? I'm single. You are single? Can we name the best thing about Christmas holiday? Love. My favorite Christmas carol is Dash.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Name the gift parents would most likely give to their children for Christmas.
Food. Shoes. Money.
Christmas decoration.
Vacation.
A vacation. A vacation. Toby.
Village.
Alright, survey says.
All right, it is my pleasure to begin our conversation on Democracy Day. But first, let's listen to our background report as put together by Ibrahim Dan Amidu.
Democracy Day commemorates the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, widely considered Nigeria's freest and fairest election. The election was won by Moshood Abiola, a businessman and philanthropist, but the results were annulled by the military government, leading to widespread protests and unrest. After years of military rule, Nigeria transitioned to democracy in 1999. Democracy Day has been celebrated since the year 2000, annually on May 29. On June 6, 2018, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari declared June 12 as Democracy Day, a national holiday to honor the sacrifices of those who fought for democracy and to promote national unity. In retrospect, people all over in the year 2019 attended the Democracy Day celebration in Abuja, with a significant increase in social media engagement. In 2020, the celebration was low-key due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but online engagement reached an all-time high. This year, expectations are high, with people from all walks of life and political allies expected to attend the celebration in Abuja, plus a significant increase in online engagement predicted. As Nigerians look to the future, hundreds of millions of people in the country are hoping for a more inclusive and participatory democracy. It serves as a reminder of the power of the people and the importance of protecting democratic values. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will, among other things, discuss Democracy Day concerning Nigeria's struggles and achievements.
Thank you, Ibrahim Dan Ahamidu, for the background report. And joining us now is Osita Okechukwu, former Director General, Voice of Nigeria. You're welcome to
Good Morning Nigeria.
Good Morning Nigeria, and happy Democracy Day.
Happy Democracy Day.
All right. Also in the studio for the discussion, we have Dr. Ibrahim Modibo, Public Affairs Analyst. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, Demola.
And
good morning, Claire.
Democracy Day.
Thank you. Good to be with you today.
All right.
Democracy Day.
Thank you, Dr. Ibrahim Modibo. Let me also quickly welcome for this conversation Reinsola Abiola, and she's the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Citizenship and Leadership. Reinsola, it's been a while. Good to see you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning.
Yes, and gentlemen and lady, congratulations. I mean, we just have to congratulate ourselves. It's not easy, to maintain an unbroken democracy for 25 years and to be together as a nation.
Yeah, you're right, Claire, and that is why we are here today to discuss,
obviously,
the issues raised. And you've just listened to the President broadcast, and President touched on a lot of issues, the role that, a lot of people played in this democracy, and the role of the media, the role of government, and all that. So let's just start with Osita. Let's have your view on the President's speech.
The President's speech was very, very suitable for the occasion. Not only that, he recounted the struggles, he reminded us as well that he's a beneficiary of the struggle for the democracy, and that he pledges. The most important takeaway I went with is that he said it's not only the political democracy, that there is need for the economic democracy. And that is where a lot of the suffering in the land he mentioned about. I recounted those some of the heroes that did not survive, like Bakodo Kalto was not remembered, but you cannot remember everybody. One of the newspapers that died with democracy, the reporter, because immediately Shehu Adwa was killed, his newspaper went with him. So those were notable ones. But most importantly as well, he also used the opportunity to address the Nigerian Labour Union and told them that he has the empathy of the economic hardship, the declining living standard of living, and that sooner or later that the bill for the new national minimum wage will be with the National Assembly, which is the process. So I could see Mr. President driving democracy from the heart, and also recounting what Winston Churchill said. For Winston Churchill, similar to what Mr. President said, he said democracy is terrible and awful, but it's the best form of government. So Mr. President told us no matter how complicated we think democracy is, that is a journey. and that will keep on improving. And to be honest with you, when we were taking off in the late 90s, a lot of people did not participate because they believe it will be short-lived. They said they better do what they are doing. That sooner or later the military will be back. And we're happy today. We thank God for Nigeria. Yes, a lot of people think that democracy is a revolution. No, it's evolutionary. Because of the rule of law, the checks and balances. It could have been very easy for any president to broadcast what they want to do. I want to do this road, I want to do that one. But today you must go through the process of democracy. You take it to the National Assembly and they go through it. You cannot just sit down there with a decree and amend this constitution. If you want local government autonomy, you must also get the buy-in of at least 24 state houses of assembly, 2/3 of the National Assembly. So because of that slow nature, some people think that democracy is not working. I think we are glad in Nigeria that democracy is working. We have achieved a lot along the line. Today we have over 200 and something universities. I know the number we had in 1999, and a lot of improvement have been done. We're now on standard rail. We are trying to progress to high-speed rail. So a lot of achievement have been done.
Let's even put you on hold. I was going to put you on hold before you stop. So thank you, Mr. Osita, whose surname translates to God's portion. That's Okechukwu.
No, Lord's share.
Lord's share.
It's about sharing. That is only the Lord that shares.
Thank you. Dr. Modibo, I want to put you on hold. Please, let me bring in Risola. And for obvious reasons, Risola Abiola, we all know, I mean, I don't have to introduce her to you. You know, her name speaks for her. But she's a senior special assistant to the president on citizenship and leadership. And Risola, I want you to give us, you know, an idea, what impression the president's broadcast made, you know, on you, and what part of his speech really resonates with you, and the struggles for which your late father, you know, was known.
I would say that the speech in its entirety captures the entire idea of democracy, and I like that the president was able to highlight key things like Mr. Osita said, especially when it comes to labor and how they've been dealt with, and the fact that he drew references to how issues would have been managed in the past under autocratic regimes, and the fact that this is a democratic dispensation and it informs the approach that we have had to managing dissent and disagreements within the polity. I would say that the part that really struck with me, of course, was when he, you know, mentioned the contributions and the huge sacrifices paid by my father, his late wife, and other people who we lost to the struggle for democracy, and then others who also had to endure exile for several years, including the president himself, and the struggle of democracy, pro-democracy activists, and the key role played by the press in the struggle for democracy. And beyond that, I also like the fact that he spoke to something that I believe we need to address, and it's the fact that I think perhaps because of our rapidly growing population, there's a whole generation of Nigerians that were born after that struggle had ended, or just before the struggle ended, and don't really have a recollection of what it meant, what it means to live under military rule and under oppression. And you know, when coups happened in Niger and in Burkina Faso and other parts of Africa, we began to see comments on social media from young people, you know, approving of such actions. And I think it's a troubling development, especially to know that there's that kind of mindset amongst a number of young people, and I think it's because they don't really understand where we're coming from and the struggles that we've had to endure and what we've had to overcome as a nation. So it's very important that we have reminders like that, you know, brought up from time to time, and this was a very, very important opportunity for the president to do that. So I really like the fact that his speech spoke to the reality of military rule, the reality of autocracy, the reality of oppression, and made people understand that we might not be satisfied with everything that's happening right now, but there still remains the best way to determine how, you know, the how public affairs are conducted, especially in light of the fact that there is no substitute for freedom. And we have to continue to do what we can to ensure that the sacrifices made by those in the previous generation do not go to waste. As young people, this country is ours to protect. It is ours. This democracy is ours to nurture. And the future of Nigeria is ours to safeguard. So I like that that was strongly emphasized in his address as well.
Wow, that's excellent. Thank you for that contribution there. We'll come back to you, but let's get Dr. Modibo's line of thought concerning the broadcast.
Well, fellow Nigerians and compatriots, let me greet you on the 31st anniversary of June 12 and 25 years of unbroken democracy. Let me hide, or better still, seek refuge under the philosophical dictates of a famous philosopher, historian, and academic of repute, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who stated that the opinion of 10,000 men might not be of any relevance inasmuch as none of them knows the subject. Mr. President knows the subject, and he has taken us on to a long journey of discovery within the struggles and dynamics of democracy in Nigeria. In that speech, he has taken us on the long road where he enumerated, you know, the problems, prospects, and perspectives of democracy based on the trends of events. I'm so happy they have been able to recall with passion people that struggle for this democracy and what democracy also entails, especially June 12. It is a watershed. It is a building block for enduring democracy in Nigeria. Whether we like it or not, June 12 represents true democracy, where we saw free, fairness, and peaceful election being truncated. For whatever reason it is, let us leave it to history. Mr. President, in that speech, has been able to capture my mind, and he has been able to steal my heart for the mere fact that he knows that Nigerians are suffering. He said he feels the pains of Nigerians, but he has been able to place some institutional frameworks that in the long run will cushion the effects of this hardship of Nigerians. I think for a person that has been able to realize or to think of people, a leader, to think of people's sufferings, it's a plus. And I think we have to congratulate Mr. President. Secondly, if we look at the issues of the press, he has been able to bring up what the Nigerian press stood for under June 12 and what the Nigerian press is equally standing for today. It is lamentable that today, still, there are institutional frameworks that hinders the press, especially the police. I have had several of our colleagues be arrested by either the police or the DSS. And I think Mr. President should take note of that, because I know he's a strong believer of democracy. As I stated in that speech, he is not ready to arrest anybody. You have the freedom of expression within the ambits of the law. And I think the press should form the fulcrum of democracy where government will be accountable. Because based on the nuances, based on the issues that has to do with the media informs, it educates, it entertains, and also it sets an agenda. And in trying to do that, you have to form within the purview of the social responsibility theory, where you have to be factual, you have to be balanced, you also tell the truth, and also be able to set an agenda that will form the base of a government. And in this speech, I'm happy that Mr. President has been able to talk about the past where the press have suffered, and I'm sure under this government will not allow the press to suffer again. He will give them the latitude. But what I think is missing to me in the speech is the participation of the youth and women. I think in a democratic setup, I think the president, whether by design or maybe by default, he has forgotten to talk about the issues of youth participation. Because already, for some of us, our generation is almost going. Now, who rules Nigeria after us?
Yes, and therefore, yes. So the role of women and the role of youth under this democracy should have formed the basis of this speech.
You know,
and I think it's very fundamental.
Yes, Dr. Modibo, I like to take up from where you stopped, and I'd like to thank you for raising that issue, because I wanted to take it up with Mr. Okichukwu. I'm just wondering how the president talked about the whole concept of democracy and the process, and the advantages of being in a democratic government, I mean in a democratic society, and all that. And I'm just wondering, how do you think Nigerians, and by Nigerians I mean the less privileged people, women, youths, organized labor, would assimilate the content of today's broadcast? Do you think it struck the chord of, the critical issues that bite the people's heart?
I think so, on the premise that in the 4-year tenure, Mr. President had done just 1 quarter. And if the speech makes a foundation, for him to demarcate between political democracy, the benefits on the political side and the benefits on the economic side, I'm thrilled. And that is what we'll keep on saying. How will the president reclaim the spirit of June 12 of a united Nigeria, one family Nigeria, where her father defeated his opponent, Bashir Tofa, in Kano. He has set the agenda on how he'll do it, and we're encouraging him. I said he should be in position as a crusader of the June 12, and also the man who singularly is holding the apparatus of state power, that he remains in a good vehicle, and he was in his pledge. All I will advise him is that for him to realize his economic agenda, since he had made it clear that he knows that the economy is the substructure, that the hardship in the country is about the economy, he mentioned it. He had a solution. There are two pincher movements. One of the neoliberal was what he followed, where he removed the fuel subsidy, tried to harmonize the exchange rate, that brought inflation and others. What remains is for him to harvest, because why the international community is happy with him is because they know it is roots to proper development. Because what it means is that we are saying that individuals could invest and be supported by government. When he had the buy-in of the international community, I advise him that he should go out of his way to plead with them. It's been done. Egypt did it last year. They borrowed $30 billion to prop up infrastructure. Today, in most of the countries that did so, they will have like 100 meters, 100 million meters for each family. Low tariff of electricity, but there is electricity for every home that enables both small scale and medium scale to germinate at their own level. And the good thing about utility is that if you have electricity constantly in your house, you won't care to switch off the AC if you have one, or bother anybody to switch off. It becomes part of your budget because it enhances economic development. And secondly as well, while we are pandering with the agitation of labor, which is realistic, because the issue about labor is that there's realism versus affordability. Mm-hmm. What labor is saying makes a lot of sense. There's economic hardship. But affordability is the issue confronting the realism. What government had done in the past in the UK, when it happened in about some decades ago in the UK, they went for mortgage of houses. I made sure that today in UK, about 70% of the population are living in their own houses.
Let me just also interject before it skips my mind. You said that the international community is happy with Mr. President.
Yes.
Because of the
economic policy trajectory, yes.
Yes, fruits. And I'm saying, do we have indicators, indices, and time frames for when these, policies will be germane and when poverty will probably be reduced to a single digit?
What I'm saying, my advice to Mr. President, is that if the West, the most advanced countries of the world, whether you like them or hate them, if they say your economic policy is good, because they have worked in their own country, you now tell them, my people are not happy. And the resource I have on hand could not make them happy. Because I'm facing insecurity, I have other infrastructure to fix, I have the working people to pay. Please, I know what is wrong in Nigeria. The companies living in the country, if you know one of their complaints is energy. They say when they pay huge bills for electricity and there's nobody buying their product, what are they doing here? And there's a solution. It's been done all over the world. We're operating less than 5,000 megawatts of electricity. You could imagine the day we'll have 10,000 or 15. South Africa have 40,000 megawatts. So Mr. President should go back to them. You can call it an electricity fund and even tell them to be part of the management of the electricity chain. Already Siemens and Co are already in Nigeria, but they are being talked about minimally.
We are still trying to get out of the
get out of what?
The contract that.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
NTA, if you go through your budget, if you know how much you spent on diesel.
Absolutely.
So if there's electricity here, you spend less.
Yes.
And you run better. The private television, the same thing. The barbering salon, the other side. The lady that hawks water, everybody gels. If you add it to mass housing, the man in the village, there are villagers who could pay for mass housing. They have enough resource if they are sure. And how much do you borrow? In the whole, you cannot borrow up to $40 billion. And they'll pay themselves.
Let's take the conversation because we really, our time is fast spent.
Let's come to Risola now. You said something that was very critical about the youth, in your opening, what's it called, as message. I said the need for the youth to rethink, to rejig, concerning democracy and the role that they're supposed to play, to understand democracy, because many of them were not actually born before this day, and which you are right, because I was discussing with Claire, there were a lot of these youth corps members I was asking about, do you know June 12? They said, what is June 12? They do. Oh, okay. So, we'll come back to you. We need to just take an update from Najar to Tijani. Najar to Tijani, how are you today? From the Eagle Square. Can you give us an update? What is happening there right now? How set are we?
All right, Ademola. Thank you. I had to giggle a bit there when you talked about core members wondering what June 12 was. What it's all about. I was in secondary school myself, in a military school, but I definitely remember to an extent what it's about. And that's why Nigerians are slowly gathering here at the Eagle Square. This is where we're expecting dignitaries to come any moment from now. Citizens, civil servants, students have already started arriving. We already have members of the diplomatic corps as well seated, and it continues to be an exciting moment as the band prepares to walk, the parade rather prepares to march onto the parade ground for the Democracy Day parade. It all started 31 years ago until 6 years later when there was a democratically elected president after the struggle, and we'll be talking about that in depth over the course of the event. For now, I have with me I have with me a distinguished senator to talk about where he was June 12.
Well, thank you very much. I'm Senator Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, Honorable Minister of State, Agriculture and Food Security. June 12, 1993, incidentally, I was a youth corper serving in Adamawa State. And it was quite a time because the choice was unanimous, and I think Nigerians broke all ceiling in terms of the divide, in terms of the division, and whatever it is that Nigerians have witnessed in terms of division in our politics, in terms of tribe, religion, and region on who you are. Because the choice then, Chief M.K. Abiola was seen as a pan-Nigerian, a man whose hands of fellowship, whose hands of goodness can be seen and felt all over the country.
Would you say that his struggle has paved the way for many Nigerians, such as yourself, to serve the nation in the capacity which you are doing right now, among other duties and responsibilities?
Absolutely, because there's one thing, no pain, no gain. And of course, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was apt as he, listed the names of those who truly paid the supreme price. And I think the struggle of any nation is replete with moments where people have to lay down their life in the service of their motherland. And I think celebrating today is remarkable, and I think kudos goes to the APC, as a political party that recognize June 12th and put it as what we should be celebrating. And today we are here again to celebrate 25 years of unbroken democracy in Nigeria.
Is that something to really celebrate, considering some of our African neighbors, Chad, Niger, are still struggling with this issue of democracy? Is Nigeria being a trailblazer? I mean, what more should Nigerians appreciate about 25 years of uninterrupted democracy?
Well, as always, Nigeria is the largest country in Africa, the giant, and expectedly, by our human resources, by our God-given natural resources, by the sheer size of the country, by the diversity of the country, I think we should at all times be the trailblazer. We should be the example. We should be the standard that other African countries should always look onto. And I think in this case, when you look at what Nigeria has been able to achieve through these 25 years, like we saw yesterday in the Democracy Day lecture yesterday, the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, was saying we had moments where certain things could have truncated the democracy, but Nigerians, persevere. We knew the period of the aborted third term. We knew the period of the transition between a late, sitting president and, the vice, where the doctrine of necessity came on. That we have weathered are signposts of the robustness of the past 25 years in our democracy. And I think with all those examples, what more do you expect? Solid, consolidated, and continuous democracy. And what more do we ask for? A poster, personality of the democratic struggle that began these 25 years is today the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Jagaban Borgu, GCFR.
Thank you very much, sir, for your input. Thank you for also highlighting the indomitable spirit of Nigeria and, of course, every Nigerian's expectation that democracy will continue. The distinguished senator has said it all. And as we continue to celebrate Democracy Day and talk about the highlights, I have Honorable Inalegu to also share a little bit of his experience as a Nigerian in the democratic process. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Can you tell us a little bit about, we had a conversation here where you were telling us how much you love Nigeria and why you have been a part of the process. Care to tell us more?
Yeah, Nigeria is my beloved country, a country we so much adore, a country that every citizen of this nation wish the best. We are celebrating 25 years of uninterrupted democracy today. I was a bit younger when democracy came into Nigeria, 1996. I was privileged as a public person that liked public affairs. I was privileged to be part of the whole processes, from the Abiola time to the Abacha time to the Abdulsalami time up to this very moment, from Obasanjo time to Yaradua time to this very present moment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have witnessed uninterrupted democracy. And this is something to give joy. This is something that we should all applaud as Nigerians, because we have never seen this before. While growing up, it was all about military. But for 25 solid years, we have uninterrupted democracy. And I think it's something that we must commend these Nigerian citizens.
What would you say about the progress Nigeria has made under democratic rule versus military rule?
Sincerely, we have made a lot of tremendous progress, because we are used to military rule. But for the past 25 years, Nigeria, we are developing. The pace at which we are developing is even far more than other nations. America is celebrating over 250 years of democracy. We are just 25 years. Where are we today? 1991 we had no GSM. We had no rail. We have so many things that we are not in place. But today, we can count on the blessings of democracy. It's a gradual thing. It's a gradual process, in as much as the citizenship may not be happy. We may not be happy because of the hardship at the moment, but we still give glory to God that we are making tremendous progress in the democracy.
Thank you very much, Honorable Inalegu. Honorable Inalegu, they are talking about how much progress Nigeria has made in 25 years under democratic rule and, of course, expectation of Nigeria. So before the people gather some more, we'll take a break now, and then we'll come back to you to the studio with more guests, more Nigerians giving their input, their feedback about the Democracy Day celebration, rather.
I wanted to ask you a question just before you run away. You talked about your being in school in those days. I was in the heart of Akoka. Of course, within the citadel of learning, that's the great University of Lagos. So I leave the rest of what happened to your imagination. But I don't expect that this is a low-key celebration, given the size of the guests and, of course, the elaboration.
I lost the...
Oh, she seems to have left. Maybe the question will
yes, Naja, I'm sure you're in a hurry to get us more updates. All right, I'll pose my question again.
Okay,
yes.
So let me just finish. I was going to ask Risola a question before we went for an update there. Now, Risola, your opening remarks, you talked about, about youth especially, which is critical, the need for them to have a mind reset. You understand, because they do not understand what democracy and autocracy also means. And you, as a special assistant to the president on citizenship and leadership, how is the government going about, educating the youth on the importance of good governance? And secondly, the speech also highlighted the sacrifices of pro-democracy activists and journalists. How can we ensure their legacy continue to inspire the youth?
Before I answer that question, I would also like to speak to a youth and women related issue that was raised earlier about the role of young people and women in our democracy. And I would say that this administration has appointed a record number of young people into key positions as presidential advisors. I'm one of them. Ministers, we have 2 ministers in the Ministry of Youth. The president actually began by separating the ministries of youth and sport so that would have sufficient focus on youth development. We had about 3 ministers below the age of 40 in the Federal Executive Council as at when it was constituted. We have quite a number of young people heading very key agencies, SMEDAN, NIPOST, quite a number of agencies are headed by young people. And in appointing young people, there's also been a focus on gender equity in youth appointments as well. That's apart from having women also occupy other key positions. So I would say that the president has actually done quite well with ensuring that young people are properly represented in governance. And this, of course, would ensure that the perspectives of young people reflect in the way we make our policies and in the execution of these policies. That said, there have also been efforts at ensuring greater economic empowerment for young people. Through the Ministry of Youth, we've had initiatives like the Nigerian Youth Academy being spearheaded by the Honorable Minister of State for Youth, Ayodele Olawande, which is like an online platform for young people to learn profitable skills at no cost to them. There's also the Corepreneur Scheme, which is focused on empowering core members economically. There's the Youth Bank underway. There's the 110 billion naira approved by the Federal Executive Council, which will be given to young people to support their businesses through the redesigned Nigerian Youth Investment Fund. So there's quite a lot of work actually going on in terms of strengthening and supporting young people and ensuring that young people and women are well represented in government. Regarding the issue of youth orientation especially, so my portfolio is Senior Special Assistant to the President on Citizenship and Leadership, and it's domiciled in the Ministry of Youth, my office. And one of the key things that I do there is to supervise the Citizenship and Leadership Training Center. CLTC is a pre-independence parastatal. It was created in 1951. It's the parent body of the Mano organization, a key organization about volunteerism and imbibing the right set of values and leadership training in our young people. And one of the things that my office is doing presently is working to secure the needed legislative backing for the reforms that that organization needs, because that's actually the parastatal that is charged with ensuring that we properly promote civic education among Nigerians youth. So what we're trying to do now is ensure that it was created by decree so many decades ago. The law that we have right now underpinning the existence of that parastatal does not really speak to where it needs to be in Nigeria at this moment. So the reforms that we're seeking will ensure that firstly, we have a CLTC that is better empowered to deliver on its mandate of reaching young people, and that we're also able to properly engage young people in the informal sector who happen to be the majority. The bulk of Nigeria's youth population is not the British English speaking, American English speaking young people. We have young people in the formal sector and the informal sector. Also, when it comes to education within the university system, those ones are catered to by NYSC. But the larger majority of young people actually don't go through the university path, and that is where CLTC comes in. So that's part of what we're trying to do to ensure that civic education and youth orientation is done properly by the Citizenship and Leadership Training Center.
Okay, we'll come back to you, but let's just go for this break. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear in color, we stand up in deeper, we make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Diversity is unique, we have more than the solution.
We are Nigeria, strength in unity, we know they carry life. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
In the heat of the summer, walking on the road feels like walking on hot coals.
How do I cope with this heat?
And how do I cope with that bad odor?
By staying 5 degrees cooler.
Body odor is caused by germs, and on hot days, the sweating and the odor are more. That's why you need to get the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which offers up to 5 degrees instant cooling sensation and protects you from 99.9% odor-causing germs.
Meet lovebirds Jayola and Adama Davies. Their dream of living together as man and wife has finally been fulfilled.
The latest couple in town, Mr. and Mrs. Jaye Davis!
But an invasion by their troublesome families was not a scenario they bargained for. Her mother moves in, his mother shows up with his little niece. Then her younger sister joins the scramble.
You want to stay?
Married life suddenly becomes very complicated even before it started. Follow their story on this channel as they confront every challenge as it comes. Family Forever, the story of our lives.
This na Go TV, and now for here you fit watch better football from Mbappe. Ball wey Kane use the TNet, Ronaldo. And all the big boys we go follow drag the who go be Oga of Europe. Now who go become the Baba of Europe? Watch all the 51 games live on Top Super Sport from GoTV Jolly to Super Plus and GoTV Stream. Euro 2024 live. It goes sweet on Top GoTV. Love it.
You have to move from the point where you protect and defend your religion to a point where you also recognize the rights of the other person, of the other religion, and protect it. So if I am protecting my own territory and my own people and trying to emphasize their rights and protect their rights, I should also be thinking about how to protect the rights of the others.
Both Islam and Christianity recognize and defer to God, and both recognize the temporariness of the life of this world, and that ultimately we all go back to God for the day of reckoning, when everybody will render an account of his life on this temporary abode.
All right, thank you. Welcome back. Let's now expand our conversation quickly now to Democracy Day. And Dr. Modibo, I'd just like you to bring you here. If we look at the democratic trajectory, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has a lot in common, apart from himself being, pro-Nadeco activist. If you look at the, his agenda is captioned "Renewed Hope Agenda," which has some semblance, to the renewed MKO, Renewed Hope. Hope 93. If you also look at the fact that where he's coming from and other, dynamics, they are quite in tune with, late MKO Abiola, and of course the policies and all that. Do you think, in terms of making the big sacrifice that both MKO Abiola, canvassed, and what Mr. President it canvassed, do you think we are on track in making that sacrifice for Nigeria?
Coincidentally, Madam Claire, June 12, 1993, I was the regional editor of Vanguard newspapers in Yola. I was almost approaching my 10th year post-graduation from a very reputable university that has been able to impact a lot of knowledge. And therefore, I was part and parcel of the coverage of June 12, where we saw wonderful politicians with velveteen speeches coming onto the dais. It was a scenic beauty when you go to campaigns. Not this dancing that we have these days. You see them giving you policy programs, what options, and there are different this is based on this thing. Whether we like it or not, one of the most worthy and outstanding narrative about June 12 is that it has been able to build bridges across streams and rivers, not only the seas.
June 12, 1993.
Yes, it has been able to build bridges across streams and rivers. We saw people that went to elect people not based on religion, ethnicity, tribal, regional, or other sentiments. And the issue of money was not even very loud. It wasn't at all.
It didn't matter your tribe or tongue.
It didn't matter. If not, MKO Abiola of blessed memory, may God forgive his soul and may he have a very wonderful place in paradise. Amen. Was a man of virtue. He displayed uncommon attributes as a human being who has been able to lay his tentacles all over the country. You cannot figure, you say, no, the MK Abiola was a tribalist. No, no, no. He has his footprints all over. Now, the question is, as at that point in time, Mr. President was also an active participant, where he was chased almost everywhere. He had to run out of the country, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his safety. Now, have we been able to capture the virtues, some of the policy programs, some of the attributes of MK Abiola at this point in time? Now, the question is left for us to ponder. But as far as I'm concerned, under the nascent democracy, this democracy we are practicing, I think there's a need for us to have Nigeria within the confines of a people, although we went back to former national anthem, though tribes and tongues don't not differ, you know, in our native land, you know, we have that pride. Therefore, as Nigerians, are we actually looking at the country from the perspective of a peaceful, united nation? Are we having free, fair, and peaceful elections? These are the fundamental questions. Therefore, to me, it is time for us as a Nigerians under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to think of serious unity. Because as it is today, we have people thinking about tribes, we have people thinking about religion, we have people thinking about ethnicity, we have people thinking about geographical zones. And this is not good for united Nigeria. Okay. Abiola tried to unite this country by spreading his own wealth, spreading his tentacles in terms of development structure. And I'm sure if Abiola were to have been a president by today, believe me, I have the absolute confidence that Nigeria's democracy would have maybe reached the El Dorado. But unfortunately, that's history. Whether we like it or not, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must stand up and pick up the gauntlet to make sure that Nigeria as it is today, we see the propelling of economy, the issue of insecurity, the issue of putting food on the tables of the people because people are hungry, whether we like it or not, is true. And also the issue of labor. I want to plead with him that as a father of this nation, let him not be annoyed. Labor, they are doing their jobs. People need to survive. People need to eat. He should sit down and think of a very good wage for the workers and also to put food on the tables of Nigerians. If I were him, or if the advice I might give Mr. President is, since some of these governors are saying that, look, with the removal of subsidy, they cannot pay 60,000, I will form a like PTF during Abacha. I'll form a PTF group like that, where all the subsidies will be put under a common account that will pay the workers. Nigeria has the money to pay workers from 100 to 150,000 as minimum wage. Therefore, put this money, subsidies, don't give the governors again, since they say they cannot pay. Put these monies in an account of PTF and pay the workers. Let us see if Nigerian workers will not get, even if it's 200,000.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Mudibo, for your thoughts there. And you spoke extensively about, you know, what June 12 stood for. Was able to build bridges and, you know, barriers were broken and there was this kind of unity because of the person of MKO. not only in Nigeria, but also in Africa. Remember, it was called the Pillar of Sport in Africa. Let me just, from that, let's come to Mr. Okechukwu now. We're talking about, he emphasized the need for the government, present government, to have, more compassion, especially when it comes to the poor, the vulnerable, and also the workers now. How do you think the government can balance the need for economic growth with the need for social protection and welfare for vulnerable citizens in the country?
Thank you very much. I'm happy with this question for the fact that Doctor seems to go with the wind that because subsidy was removed, that a lot of dollars were accruing to the federal government coffers. That's not exactly the position. There are impediments preventing that. We do not, as of today, meet our 1.7 million barrels that OPEC allocated to us. Okay, we are not meeting up with that. We know the challenges in the Niger Delta. So when you calculate how much you are getting, the government is not running surplus funds. And remember as well that there is banditry and insurgency, which consumes a lot of money. No government on earth will tell you how much they are putting there to get the peace at home. Then talk about other infrastructure. Talk about 200 and something universities. Some are private, some are federal government owned, some are state owned. So these are challenges at both the subnational and the federal. So that surplus kind of money is not there. That's the truth of that's why I talked about realism. That, to be honest with labor, if they pay them, as you said, 200,000, there's nothing wrong about that. But affordability is real key, because you cannot consign other items on the bouquet. If you look at the national budget, there's a lot of line of demands. So you cannot push all of them away and pay only salaries. So that is where I disagree with Doctor, that there's no surplus on the ground. And that was why I was saying that what happened to some countries along that line is to set up a transparent process and go for funds. United States of America, is the greatest debtor in any countries of the world. But do you know what they did? They got their energy sector, got all the infrastructure hemmed, that while they are owing you, in the 8 most richest companies of the world that scheme above $1 trillion value. In fact, they have about 3 trillion.
Okay.
Nvidia, Microsoft, and others, Apple. They're on the 3 bench. Why did they achieve that? If you set up a fintech, look at InterSwitch. It's doing so well, but it's even doing better in other countries because of electricity. InterSwitch, the spread of InterSwitch that originated from Nigeria, flute wave, they are doing better in other countries because of constant electricity. So it's not as you are saying. But what I'm saying is that since Mr. President had today, I regard his speech today as his contract with Nigeria, because he wrote in that speech, I pledge. And that pledge reflects Chief Emeko Abiola's own spirit about the country. Abiola is not just a philanthropist, but what made him exceptional is that he might do something for you without a target of what he benefits from you. There are philanthropists that will help you. You're a broadcaster because I'm coming to your studio. But that's not Abiola. In Aba, during his campaign, he decided not to sleep in a big flush. He slept in one of one chief that is a strong SDP. So he called one young man. He said, you keep on following us, and you're not looking like others. You know what the young man said? He said one day he visited London, and I accompanied my friend to meet you. And you asked me, you were asking us our problem. I said, I was out of school. And you said, why? And I said I couldn't pay my fees. And you asked your cousin. Your cousin said yes, that for over 2 weeks he had not been in class. Abiola picked up the note and said, give me the registrar of the campus. I started paying directly to the campus without knowing the boy he paid for. So immediately he learned that Abiola was running for president, he flew into Nigeria. I was following up and down, paying his own hotel bills. Because some of us will be lined up. They pay hotel bills for us. But the young man was saying, don't pay for me. Don't let me know where you're going next.
Okay, Mr. Osita, I won't allow you to end the story. Not me. Time is ticking fast.
No, I'm just trying to say Mr. President has made a pledge today.
Yes.
Okay. With the Nigerians.
Yes,
I should call it the contracts President Tinubu had with us.
Thank you, Mr.
We can come to that.
Yes, Mr. Kichuku, I'm told our time is up, so I'd like to really appreciate you, Mr. Osita Kichuku, former Director General, Voice of Nigeria, VON. We'd like to thank you. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria.
No, because I think we're signing him off because he needs to move to some other places.
Okay.
But we're still going to have our guest in the studio. Mr. Okechukwu, thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria. But I think you want to react to what he said. Okay.
Mr. Okechukwu, I'm talking from economic background. I know about those finances.
Let me learn. You've not even had me. You are trying to defend.
But just make it, brief, because we still
what I'm saying,
have Risola here.
Nigeria, as it is today, believe me, we're a great nation with great resources. We are not depending on oil alone. Look at taxes that have been coming left, right, and center. Mr. Okechukwu, are you saying that the whole resources of Nigeria is dependent on oil? No. The government has other sources of revenue, and I strongly believe that we have the resources to take care of labor and also other Nigerians, place food on the table of Nigerians, and also pay salaries. Therefore, for you to start becoming a spokesman of the government, to start defending the indefensible, I think it's not fair. We should be fair to Nigerian workers. They should get food on their tables, and also Nigerians should also eat. We should not be tightening our belts so that our waist will break. No, we should have a robust economy that will make us robust, and also think of a government under democracy. Democracy entails security, placing food on the table, improvement of the economy, and also governance with conscience. And I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is trying to give Nigeria a focus. Let people like Mr. Osita not discourage him from taking care of Nigerian workers.
All right, let's bring Rinsola. And Rinsola, in the president's speech on the economy, of course, he acknowledged the fact that, times are hard. Reforms are necessary. Of course, that the reforms he's taking are necessary to fix the economy in the long run, but he also indicated, of course, his willingness to listen to the people. Now, you are a member of the inner caucus, and if you listen to Dr. Modibo, I'm just wondering, to what extent will the president listen to the people? Because the people have quite a number of agitations and grievances and needs, things that need to be resolved, like yesterday.
So I would start by saying that the president has displayed something, I think, right from when we were campaigning up until this moment, and that is empathy. He is somebody who empathizes with the plight of the people, and he's not shut off from the reality that Nigerians are grappling with. He understands that there is hardship in the land occasioned by these reforms, but we also understand that there is a vision behind these reforms, and is to ensure that what we're passing through today is not something that we ever have to experience again, both for the current generation and for those to come. However, regarding the issue of the minimum wage, I quite understand Dr. Modibo's very spirited appeal and his position. But I would have to also say that it's important that we're cautious in, putting certain ideas forward or thinking of certain things as the only solution to what could be done. Because firstly, we run a federal government system, and the revenue that a state like Lagos generates is not the same thing that a state like Zamfara generates. Zamfara, for instance, only began paying the 30,000 naira minimum wage some weeks ago. So fingers are not equal when it comes to our states, and the cost of living in Lagos is not the same thing as the cost of living in Zamfara. It's not the same thing as the cost of living in Maiduguri. It's not the same thing as the cost of living in Akwa Ibom. There's quite a bit of difference in different parts of the country about what it would take or what it would cost to have a comfortable experience. We also need to be mindful of the fact that the minimum wage is not just for government workers. So it's not just government that's required to pay. It's not just the federal government that's required to pay, which is why I brought in the issue of state governments. And we also have to look at the private sector and the effect that it might have. As a young person, I understand that we have dealt with the perennial challenges of youth unemployment and youth underemployment. And when you fix a minimum wage that is beyond the reach of the private sector, what you would inadvertently do is ensure that they have to let go of a large number of workers. Because the major reason why businesses are in business is to make profit. And when the cost of operation becomes too high, it becomes exponentially high, they will be forced to review the workforce. And the first thing that would happen is mass retrenchment, across the different cadres within those organizations. So as a young person, I understand the need for an increased minimum wage. I understand the need to take care of labor. I understand the need to respect our people and pay a livable wage. But I also understand the need to be cautious in how we approach these engagements and these conversations, because we also don't want to have negative ripple effects result from the decisions that are made eventually. However, I am very confident of the President's empathy. I know full well that he has a very firm grasp of the realities of Nigerians. And as the Labour President said, the proposal is before the President, and I expect nothing less than something that would be fair for all, because he's committed to justice, he's committed to equity, he's committed to a better lease of life for our people, and I'm very confident that we'll get something good.
I don't want to take this conversation away from your mouth, just in 60 seconds before. I understand, the fact that, the states have different areas of comparative, advantage.
Yes.
But how do you evaluate the cost of running government at the subnational level? Does it encourage you?
I would not want to speak too much on states and how they conduct their affairs, but I would, however, say that there's a need for more probity across the board, and there's a need for more to be done across the board. States, there are quite a number of states that have done really well. We're trying to increase their internally generated revenue. We have examples like Ekiti. We have examples like Lagos that continues to set the bar for everybody else. Kaduna, there are quite a number of states actually really stepping up to the plate in terms of internally generated revenue and trying to see what they can do within their domains to also improve the business environment. I know Jigawa is doing quite well in that regard. So there's a need for a lot more to be done at the subnational level to enhance, their ability to create jobs, to enhance the business environment, to enhance the internally generated revenue. Because when these things are done and there are improvements at that level, it also greatly improves on what they are able to deliver for workers within their respective domains too.
Okay. Oh, that's
yes.
good.
Maybe Dr. Modibo, you want to just give us your last before we join
because one thing is this: someone said the hardship that you refuse to face today, you understand, you will face it tomorrow. So it is better to face the hardship today and have a better future tomorrow. So from that perspective, what is your parting word?
Well, sometimes these theories could be true. But in other times, how are you sure that you are going to reach tomorrow? How are you sure? If you are suffering today, what if you die in the night?
No,
what I'm talking of, I understand you very well. Now, if you look at the current wage or the current situation in Nigeria, it is really sad. It's very sad in the sense that Nigerians today, a lot of people cannot put food on the table. If you are sincere, you are saying you should give the Nigerian worker level 1 60,000, for God's sake. Just at the weekend, I went to Zimbabwe. This Zimbabwe here on the way to Kefi. I bought 5 yams, 20,000. If you are giving somebody, for God's sake, with 2 children, 3 or 4.
Dr. Modibo.
No, I'm looking at
Dr. Modibo, it's because of time.
No,
We
yes.
will still land.
Yes.
But we want to bring in our studio, the other studio. We want to bring in our presenter from the other studio. Fisayo.
Yes, Fisayo,
how are you?
Let me just see if I can join this conversation by putting a question to Dr. Modibo there. As a young student in the secondary school then in 1993, I was just rounding up, we could, even enjoy, for instance, the adverts, leading to, June 12th. They captured the imagination of Nigerians. I can remember MKO is our man. We can still remember those, jingles and all. But it doesn't still, have the same, vibe these days. What's happening? From the podium, the razzmatazz is not like it used to be.
You see, Mr. Fisayo, if you look at the tempo of political participation, there's great disparity. Because in 1993, if you look at the programs, the policies, and even the politicians, people like Abubakar Rimi, late Abubakar Rimi, Jim Bodo, very charismatic politicians. Baba Gana Kingibe, Dr. Zungina, late Chief MKO Abiola was a fantastic human being. Although he might not be an orator, but when he mounts on the dais with the microphone clamped very close to his mouth, that stammering goes away. And you can see him bringing out some policies and programs of the SDP and also what it intends to do for Nigerians. So from his actions, from his attitude, from his gestures, from his gesticulations, you know that this is somebody that has something to offer to Nigerians. And I'm very sure, with his empathy, with his sympathy, and also the human face and character he has, I am sure his decision to venture into politics as at that time was born out of his patriotic desire to positively respond to the myriad of challenges facing Nigerians. But today, you find out that the rhythm and the rhythmic flavor of the politics tends to fade away because a lot of politicians do not have many things to offer. They don't have political program. One party will have the same thing as if they are photocopying results. The same program with another party. There is virtually nothing elected to the left or elected to the right. And at that point in time, if you could remember, Madam Claire, we had 2 parties. And these 2 parties, SDP and NRC, and it has been able to remove ethnic barriers, remove tribal, religious.
Let me put you on hold and allow Fisayo to also ask.
I think you've captured exactly what I wanted, but let me, because time is not helping us on this side before we go into the meat of our own matter. Let me quickly ask Risola. I've listened to some of your submissions during that discussion. You seem to have retained a little bit of the magic of Elite Dad. What will be your word very quickly? Moving on, after an acknowledgement of this nature, very quickly. I understand time is not a friend, but let's quickly, come back to our studio for the live presentation of today's activities. Nigeria has now witnessed 25 years of unbroken democracy. It is an unprecedented feat in its 64 years of independence. The struggle to sustain and entrench civil rule is as old as the nation itself, and throughout the struggles, the will of the people and their collective aspirations are distilled in the united resistance to forms of government that did not echo, in most parts, their voices and inclinations. In the gestation period that eventually gave birth to the Fourth Republic, one key date remains poignant: June 12, 1993. A stillbirth in the nation's democratic cycle, a deep wound that did not heal properly until proper acknowledgement and some efforts at official restitution was undertaken in the last dispensation. Now, June 12 takes its place as the nation's Democracy Day.